I know a founder who started 47 projects and still hasn't finished a single one. If you printed out the domain names, the mockups, the how-written strategies and business plans, the abandoned business models, you could simply wallpaper a small office. Thousands of hours, late nights, a weekend sacrificed, conversations with friends where you explained with excitement what you were about to ship. And yet, none of it converts. None of it funds the next thing. None of it climbs. This is not a hustle story. I call this hole digging. And here is the part nobody warns you about. When you have dug 47 holes, you do not just have 47 failures. You have something worse. You have 47 pieces of evidence that you worked hard, and the evidence makes it almost impossible to admit the truth. Because if you were working that hard, how could it possibly be the wrong thing? In this video, I'm going to walk you through the 3 symptoms that tell you whether you are a hole digging or staircase building. And then I'm going to give you something most frameworks skip: the actual protocol for shipping, what to do this week, what to kill, and how to take your first real step. Let me define both terms before we go further. A staircase works only when each step holds weight and leads directly to the next one. You do not build step 1, then walk across the yard to build step 2 in fresh dirt. You pour step 2 on top of step 1 and step 3 on top of step 2. The rise compounds, the structure earns its height. On the other side, a hole is a project that begins from zero, consumes resources, and leaves behind nothing load-bearing. You cannot stand on it, you cannot rise from it. You just dig, finish, and simply walk away. And because the hole looked productive while you were digging it, your brain gives you full credit for that effort. You close the day tired. You tell yourself you grinded. But what did you actually build? A depression in the ground? Peter Drucker said efficiency is doing things right. Effectiveness is doing the right things. The hole digger is extremely efficient. He digs clean holes, perfectly round. If there were a competition for hole digging, he would win the first place. But he is not effective. He is simply digging the wrong holes in the wrong sequence, and he makes the sweat for progress. This is the busyness paradox in its most dangerous form. High busyness plus low output. Maximum energy expense with minimum structural gain. But you're not lazy. You're the opposite of lazy. You are simply exhausted. But exhaustion is not the same as achievement. Let's put a face on this. The hole digger builds a productivity app, for example, for students. It gets hard to acquire users, so he abandoned it and starts a newsletter for real estate agents. That holds up, so he launches a crypto consulting agency. 3 holes and 0 shared foundation. The staircase builder starts a newsletter for real estate agents. This is step 1. He listens to their problems, then launches a consulting service for them. This is step 2. He notices a recurring problem in his consulting, so he builds a simple software tool to solve it. This is step 3. Notice the difference. The audience from step 1 paid for step 2, which simply informed the step 3. The hole digger worked just as many hours, but he has to find his first customer 3 separate times. So how do we know which one you are doing? Here are 3 symptoms. Symptom 1 is when every project starts from zero. It is the easiest to spot and the hardest to admit. A staircase project simply picks up where the last one left off. It inherits the audience you built, the cash you banked, the reputation you earned, the operational knowledge you gained from actually shipping and not just planning. A staircase project does not ask you to reinforce yourself to the market. It does not require a new brand, a new narrative, a new, let's say, justification for why this time is different. On the other side, a whole project starts fresh. New name, new audience, new value proposition, new everything. You are back at square one, digging into cold dirt, pretending the previous hole never happened. Here is the self-diagnosis question, and I want you to actually answer it. Pause the video if you need to. Look at your current project, the one you're excited about right now. Does it sit on top of what you just finished? Or does it sit in the empty dirt next to it? If the answer is the dirt, you already know how this one ends. The staircase builder understands a truth the hole digger resists. You do not get credit for starting over. The market does not care how many times you have begun. It only cares what you have finished that holds weight. Every fresh start that does not inherit something from the last project is a confession that the last project did not earn its keep. If your project do not share a foundation, you are not building, you are excavating. Symptom 2 is about what you reach for when someone asks how things are going. The hole digger lists activity. I launched 4 things this quarter. I'm working on something new. My task list is insane right now. The list is long, the list is impressive, the list is museum of good intentions. The staircase builder lists outcomes. Revenue grew, retention improved, customers stayed and recommended you to their friends. The step held weight, so the next step is possible. The staircase builder can point to one number and say, that number is higher because of what I built last. Busyness is input, not output. The question is not how many projects you started. The question is not how many hours you logged. The question is whether any of what you have done became a platform for the next thing. If the answer is no, you just completed another hole. You dug it beautifully, but it is still a hole. Here is a test I want you to run. I call this the so what test. Take your last 3 months of work. Go through each project. For each one, ask 3 questions. Did it produce revenue that funds the next step? Did it build an audience that brings you forward? Did it create a reputation that opens doors? If the honest answer for a project is I learned something or it was a good practice, you are describing a hole. Learning is real, but learning is not a staircase. Learning is the consolation prize you give yourself when the project did not become load-bearing. Pause the video and run this test. This is the symptom that separates the hole digger from everyone else. And this one might sting a little. The staircase builder kills most ideas. He knows that every new project is a bet against the current one. He knows that focus is not the ability to say yes to the right thing. Focus is the ability to say no to dozens of things that are genuinely interesting. Good ideas die so the best ideas can live. The hole digger treats every idea like summons. An insight arrives in the shower or during a morning walk or at 2 a.m. And instead of capturing it in a notebook and returning to the staircase, he drops the shovel, walks to a new patch of dirt and starts digging. He cannot say no because starting feels like winning. A new project feels like a fresh identity. For a few days or weeks, he is not the founder of a project that is stuck. He is the founder of a project that is about to take off. But starting is not winning. Starting is the cheapest thing you can do. Anyone can start. Starting requires no proof, no audience, no revenue, no durability. Finishing something that actually holds weight requires everything the hole digger is avoiding. Starting is buying the domain, designing the logo, setting up the workspace. It is completely frictionless. But finishing is doing customer support at midnight. It is, let's say, rewriting your landing page copy because your bounce rate is 90%. It is looking at a Stripe dashboard with 0 active subscriptions and having to figure out why. The hole digger hits that friction and thinks this must be the wrong idea. So he grabs his shovel and looks for softer dirt. But the staircase builder knows the truth. That friction you feel is not a sign you are failing. That is the exact feeling of pulling concrete. It is supposed to be heavy. The hole digger confuses the dopamine of a new beginning with the discipline of a complete staircase. One feels like motion, the other is the motion. If hole digging is so clearly destructive, why does anyone do it? Why do smart, talented, hardworking founders spend years digging hole in a field? The answer is uncomfortable, and I need you to hear it clearly. Hole digging protects you from the one thing that scares you more than failure, being judged on a single thing. Killing a project feels like admitting defeat. It feels like setting money and time on fire. But the staircase builder knows that keeping a dead project alive just because you spend time on it is the fastest way to bankrupt your future. When you have 47 projects, no individual failure can define you. If someone asks you how project 17 or 20 is doing, you can pivot the conversation to project 24. If project 10 dies quietly, there are 37 others to point at. The portfolio is your shield. You are not a founder who failed, but you are a founder with a diverse pipeline. You are prolific. You contain multitudes. And then there is the other trap, the sunk cost. You look at a hole you have been digging for 6 months and think, I cannot stop now. Look at how much time I have invested. So you keep digging. You throw good time after bad time, trying to justify the sweat. But the staircase builder knows a harsh truth. Keeping a dead project alive just because you spend time on it is the fastest way to bankrupt your future. The market does not care how long it took you to dig the hole. It only cares that there is no staircase to climb. The staircase builder does not have this protection. He has one thing, one audience, one reputation, one bet. If the staircase collapses, he has nowhere to hide. The judgment is direct and final. That exposure is terrifying. and the hole digger has built an entire operating system to avoid it. But here is what the staircase builder understands that the hole digger does not. One thing that works is worth more than 47 things that do not. One load-bearing step creates true optionality because it funds the next one. A field of holes creates nothing but a story you tell yourself about how busy you have been. The exposure is the price of the outcome. You do not get the staircase without standing on one step and letting it be judged. Alright, you have diagnosed it yourself. You know which symptom fits. Now what? I'm going to give you 3 concrete steps you can execute this week. Not theory, not motivation, only actions. Open a blank document or use a worksheet I share in the link in description. List every project you have started in the last 12 months, for example. Every single one. The domain you bought and never launched, the course you outlined and abandoned, the SaaS idea that made it to a landing page. All of it. Now, next to each project, answer questions. Question 1. What were the costs for this project? Time, money, effort. Question 2. Did this project produce revenue, an audience, or a reputation that I can leverage right now? Question 3. Does my current project sit on top of this one? Yes or no? If the answer to second and third question is no, draw a line through it. That is a hole. You are not allowed to restart it. You are not allowed to feel nostalgic about it. It is a hole. You are done digging. Most founders who do this exercise will cross out 80 to 90% of their list. That is the point. The goal is not to feel bad about the holes. The goal is to see them clearly so you stop mistaking them for progress. Now step 2, the load-bearing test. From the projects that survived your audit, pick the one with the most weight under it. Weight means something real, an audience that shows up, revenue that is actually coming in, a reputation people associate with your name, operational knowledge you cannot get anywhere else. This is not about which project is the most exciting. Excitement is not weight. This is about which project already has concrete under it. How do you measure weight? It is not a feeling. It is simply a math. Do you have an email list with an open rate above 30%? That is a weight. Do you have 3 paying clients who would recommend you right now? That is also a weight. Do you have a piece of content that organically brings you 5 new leads a week? That is a weight. If your project relies purely on your daily manual effort to survive, it does not have a weight yet. It is just dirt. Now ask, if I put my whole into this one project for the next 90 days, could it fund the next step? If the answer is yes, this is your staircase. But if the answer is no, you are still looking at a hole with simply a nicer edges. This is where most people fail. They pick the step, they commit, and then on day 4 an idea arrives and they start digging a new hole. The protocol exists to stop that. Here are the 3 rules. Rule 1. For the next 90 days you are not allowed to start anything new. Not a side project, not a quick experiment, not just to test the waters. Nothing that sits in a fresh dirt. If an idea arrives, you write it in a notebook called Future Steps. That notebook is sacred. You can add to it anytime. You cannot act on it until day 91. That's the rule. Rule number 2. Every Monday morning, you ask yourself one question. Is this step I am working on right now earning the right to build the next one? If the answer is no, you do not start something new. You fix the current step. You do not get to walk sideways. You fix what is under you. Rule number 3. At the end of 90 days, you run the load-bearing test again. If the step held weight, you pull the next one. If it did not, you ask a harder question. Is this the wrong step? Or am I the wrong builder? One of those is true. The protocol forces you to find out which. Here is what nobody tells you about the moment you recognize you have been digging holes. It is humiliating. You look at the field, you count the holes, you add up the months and the years. And for a brief painful moment you want to defend it. But I learned so much, but those were necessary experiments. But the skills compound. Maybe. But the rent does not accept lessons learned as payment. The market does not price optionality that never converts. The founder's job is not to stay busy. The founder's job is to make the current step load-bearing. If you are sitting on a portfolio of projects and none of them pay for the next one, you are not an entrepreneur with too many ideas. You are a hole digger. And the only way out is to stop digging and start stacking. Pick one step, not 3. One. The one that already has some weight under it. Some audience, some revenue, some reputation. Pour everything you have into making it load-bearing. Let it cure. Do not touch a new patch of dirt until this step can hold the next one. Then pour the next step on top of it. Everything else is just a field of holes, and you have dug enough of those for one lifetime. If you want to run this project right now, I built a system to help you do it. I put together a worksheet called the Staircase Protocol. It has the exact whole audit, the load-bearing checklist and the 90-day tracking sheet. I use it myself to kill bad ideas and find the load-bearing ones. There is a link in the description to the article where you can download the Google Doc for free. Grab it, make a copy and run your audit today.